Welcome! Today we're going to talk about this absolutely stunning 2023 Rivian R1S. The S stands for SUV. The R1T, which you're probably a little bit more familiar with, stands for truck. The Rivian R1T came out first for the 2022 model year. We've had a number of Rivian trucks here. We have currently one now at the time of making this video. They sell really well for us. This is our second SUV, and these are in high demand as well. And it's absolutely stunning. Listen, I've been in the car, I'm almost 44. I've been in the car business since I was 15. I've been working at a luxury dealership for the last 20 years. I drive luxury cars, nice cars all day long. You know, we have lots of high-end used cars, Range Rover, Land Rovers, BMWs, Mercedes, Infinitis. We have all sorts of nice stuff. I was driving a Bentley the other day that someone wanted to trade in. And so I'm a little bit jaded, you know. I'm around nice cars all the time. It's, you know, I don't get like excited about them as like other people do, but there is something about the R1S. You know, when I look at it, my heart almost skips a beat. This thing is absolutely stunning. It's absolutely beautiful. I think this is probably one of the best looking SUVs out there. And it's more of a traditional SUV as far as fully electric vehicles go. You know, we have the Tesla Model X, which is kind of a different flavor. The Model X is almost like a completely different vehicle than this. The X is kind of more of like a performance, you know, cyber, futuristic SUV. Or this kind of has a little bit more traditional SUV lines. And where the Model X, especially the Plaid, is kind of targeted for on-road performance, this thing is very quick on-road with 835 horsepower, 0 to 60 right around 3 seconds. But it's also very capable off-road. I mean, it's pretty up there with some of the best off-road vehicles out there. You know, Jeep Wranglers, Land Rover, you know, Defenders. This thing is very, very capable. And the thing about the Rivians is that they're not all created equal. So this is the R1S Adventure Package. This has the Ocean Coast Dark Wood Ash, Ocean Coast interior of the Dark Wood Ash. Exterior is midnight black. It has a large battery pack. It has nice 22-inch sport bright side wheels. And here, look at here, quad motor all-wheel drive. There are Rivians available now with dual motors. Those recently came out. But for the ultimate, you know, performance, 0 to 60, this has 835 horsepower, where I think the next most powerful Rivian, the dual motor, is like 600 horsepower. But the quad motors, having an electric motor at each wheel allows you to individually modulate power at each wheel. And electric motors are very precise. A lot more precise than engines. That's why medical instruments are powered by, you know, little electric motors, not by little gas engines. So this can precisely modulate power each individual wheel. So this thing is the best off-road. If you want to get the Rivian that has the best off-road prowess, you're going to want to get the quad motor. And it also, you know, gives it the best performance as well. Range is a little over 300 miles when fully charged. Look at that, assembled in Normal, Illinois. This is an American-made vehicle, and it's absolutely beautiful. Look at the beautiful interior, the fit and finish. I'm a big fan of Teslas. I have a Tesla Model 3, and honestly, I was a little bit of an EV snob. Teslas were the only EVs that I considered any good, but after, you know, reading some reviews and then experiencing Rivians, I'm very impressed by the Rivian products as well. And they have like a attention to detail that you won't find in Teslas, like all these little bezels and little things here and there, the piping, the seats, all these little details you're not going to find in a Tesla. Tesla is kind of very minimalist as far as their styling goes. The interior, you know, form kind of follows function. Their idea is the best part is no part. So the interiors are very minimalistic, which is not the case with Rivian. You know, it's not overly cluttered with buttons and knobs. You have a screen here to operate the different functionality and systems in the vehicle. This has a off-road suspension. Has a this one has a height adjustable air suspension. You can put it in all-purpose mode. You can put it in sport mode, and that will lower the ride height. You can see the ride height kind of lowering right now. And that kind of puts it in sport mode. You can put it in eco mode, where I think it just keeps it front-wheel drive for the best efficiency. And then you have off-road modes. So you have a terrain management system for all different types of terrain. You can control the regen, you can control the ride height, you can control the stability control, you can control the ride firmness. Then it shows you the pitch and roll angle, compass, elevation. It shows you the temperature of the electric motors. There's also a fantastic trailering mode. When properly equipped, this can tow about 11,000 pounds. So the trailer mode is also pretty impressive too. It gives you a lot of information that is important for people that are towing. All right, so much to talk about. Oh, and then we have these really cool backup cameras, very high resolution screens. You have this nice overhead camera as well. The Rivian is fantastic at over-the-air updates, so it's constantly updating and improving features. So they're constantly improving features, upgrading the display, improving the functionality. You can hit the button here, you have a power opening frunk. So much to talk about. So we'll do a little walk around on this Rivian, and then we'll take it for a spin around the block and see how this thing performs with quad electric motors and 835 horsepower. This thing's absolutely stunning in black. We have these nice side steps added. We have the roof rail crossbars as well. The nice upgraded 22-inch wheel and tire package. The yellow brake calipers are exclusive to the quad motor Rivian. So if you ever see a Rivian and you're curious if it's a quad motor, if it has yellow brake calipers, that's a quad motor. The front end styling is absolutely beautiful as well. It looks like unlike any other vehicle on the road. And this looks really cool at nighttime with all this ambient lighting on the front. Very large front right here, plenty of storage. And we're not done yet. We have additional storage under there as well. So for the keys, you can kind of have like a slim credit card key or a normal key fob. Just hit the button twice to close the frunk. Look at this thing. This thing is absolutely stunning. This thing is eye-catching. You know, whenever I see one of these things on the road, it definitely sticks out. I mean, it just has a look about it that's unlike any other vehicle. And that's basically what you want one of a vehicle like this. You don't want to blend in with everyone else. And that's kind of the thing too of Teslas is they're so mainstream now. I mean, they've made millions of them. They're all over the road. You know, when I first bought my Model 3 2 years ago, I felt kind of special. But now there's Model 3s and Model Ys everywhere. And there's a lot of Model S's and X's. You still don't see a ton of Rivians. You see more of the trucks, but the SUVs are a little bit more sparse. I love the rear end styling of the SUV. I think it's a little bit more elegant looking than the truck. You have a little bit of a shorter wheelbase. You have this nice clean styling in the rear end. Very elegant, very beautiful. The rear tailgate comes up in two pieces, which is nice if you have a garage with a low ceiling. It won't hit the top of it if you had the tailgate in one piece. You have a power outlet right there. You can fold down the second and third row seats fairly flat. Then you can hit these buttons right here to fold down the second row seats. You have to put the headrest down or move the seats forward, but you kind of get the idea. And it's actually a very impressive amount of cargo space with the seats folded down. You have this really nice Alcantara cloth, kind of suede cloth like headliner. The fit and finish in this thing's absolutely impeccable. They do not mess around with these things. In fact, you know, Rivian is still kind of selling these things at a loss. I think Rivian probably loses about $30,000 or $40,000. Even though these things are about $100,000 new, they're still losing about $30,000, $40,000 a pop on these things. They're not cheap to build, but eventually when Rivian builds enough of them, they'll, you know, have the economy of scale where hopefully they'll get into a profitable position. But you can see they spare no expense if they're losing $30,000, $40,000 a pop on these things right now. Obviously, they're, you know, not cutting any corners as far as build quality, fit and finish goes. There's a charger, so we have a 110 adapter. That's not going to be very efficient. You'll probably add maybe 1 to 2 miles of range per hour. You really want to get a 220 outlet in your house. Basically the same outlet as a dryer. We have an adapter included for that. And with a 220 outlet, you'll be able to get a full charge in this overnight. And obviously there's fast charging options. Rivian made a deal with Tesla where Tesla is starting to open up their supercharging network to Rivian. So that will be a big upgrade for a lot of non-Tesla drivers because you know, sometimes charging on the go can be tough if you're not in a Tesla EV. Tesla just has it dialed as far as charging goes, and they have more chargers than anybody. So it's nice that Rivian is making a deal and that Rivians will be have access to that amazing supercharging network. Now let's get behind the wheel and take this thing out for a spin. All right, here we are. We're taking this Rivian R1S out for a spin. You know, the first thing that I'd like to show you is how amazing the turning radius in this thing is. Usually for a big SUV, you have not the greatest turning radius, but since this doesn't have normal drive shafts and an engine like a conventional SUV, look at this. If I was in another SUV, I'd probably have to make a 3-point turn to turn around like this. Absolutely amazing. All right, now let's get this thing on the road and see how it accelerates with 835 horsepower and quad motors. Well, I already know how it does because I've driven these before, but maybe this might be the first time for you watching a video like this. But honestly, videos don't do it justice. You really need to be behind the wheel or in the vehicle to experience the rush of acceleration. With electric motors, they make their power instantly, so you have instantaneous throttle response, unlike a gas car. Sometimes gas cars have to think about things like if you hit the gas, you know, that's to think about which gear to downshift into, that's to rev the engine. So there's always like a little momentary pause while the car figures out what to do before you get that rush of acceleration, even with a performance gas car. But with EVs, even that split second feels like an eternity, and there's no hesitation at all. This thing just takes right off. Once I get it pointed straight, I will put the throttle down to the board and see how this thing accelerates. All right, here we go. All right, now I'm gonna floor it. Whoa! Woo! Yeah, this thing has no issue at all getting up to 60 miles an hour. It feels like it's definitely capable of in 3 seconds. And this thing isn't light. This thing weighs close to 7,000 pounds. It's almost as heavy as a diesel truck. The large battery pack adds a lot of weight, but the way they set up the suspension and handling, it handles the weight really nicely. Roll-on acceleration is excellent. 30 miles an hour, I'm just gonna floor it. And it just takes right off. If it was a gas vehicle, there'd be that momentary hesitation when they mash the throttle. Okay, what gear am I going to downshift into? The engine's got to rev to the power band. Not the case of this thing. It just takes right off. And it looks like we have, like, it's trying to keep us centered in this lane. It's got some lane keeping assist technology. So it has some kind of similar stuff to autopilot. Not as good as autopilot, but it's getting better. And when you're not, you know, driving fast or yapping away like me, it's also very, very quiet. Very, very quiet place to be. Well, that pretty much sums up our little drive and riding the Rivian. This thing is amazing. I'd like to take this thing all day long. I'd love to take this thing home. Not in the budget yet for the, you know, for the family, but maybe one day we'll add one of these into our car fleet. But in the meantime, maybe if you're in the market for a Rivian R1S, you're thinking about it, don't think about it. Check one out, take one for a drive, if not this one, and I think you'll be very impressed. Thanks so much for taking the time today to watch this video. Hopefully see you soon, and have a wonderful day.